When I was in Albania, I was talking to a young man about him wanting to go into business, and he wanted to start a coffee business. And he said, I really want a chain of coffee shops. It really is entrepreneurial, great. I really want to champion him on. But what are you doing today? So what are you doing now? Because if you're sat in your bedroom doing nothing, guess what's going to happen? Nothing. So starting small and growing, and starting with what you have.
Welcome to the Making a Masterpiece podcast. I am your host, Norbert Elnar. Here we are obsessed with building your faith and inspiring your business. Today we're diving into the critical question: when is the right time to start your business? Timing is everything in entrepreneurship, and it's deeply intertwined with trusting God's guidance. And to shed light on this topic, we are joined by Karl O'Dare, a seasoned mentor, business coach, and founder of Ignite Business Consultancy. Karl is amazing. He has a diverse business portfolio spanning multiple industries, and he is also a UK business law expert. Welcome to Making a Masterpiece, Karl. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, it's so good to have you on our show. And let me just dive deeply into it. You have a diverse entrepreneurial journey from running multiple kinds of businesses. I mean, you have a security service, real estate, and you even got into a hot tub for hire service at one point.
Absolutely.
Can you share a bit of your personal story and what sparked your passion for business and mentoring others?
I think it all started as a child. When I look back and think about my childhood and where it all started, was just a passion to be in business, at jobs and being employed. But I started one of my companies, which was a real estate agency, and sold it 2 years ago. Ignite Business Consultancy then was born out of an opportunity of seeing something and then making it happen. So interesting what you said, that what is entrepreneurship? An entrepreneur is someone who sees an opportunity and then makes it happen. So lots of my businesses I've got into have been that very same way. It was not necessarily planned, but I saw the opportunity and took it.
Oh, wow. Wow. And that's something very inspiring that you had it as a child. But I know you've tried so many businesses, and I am quite confident to say that the first ones were probably, I mean, when you were really, really young, I don't
Yes.
know, were they all successful, or
Oh,
were
absolutely
there
not.
a little mistakes along the way?
Lots of mistakes along the way, and I'm hoping you as listeners can learn from their mistakes today so you don't have to make them. But I think back when I was just a young boy still in school and sitting in the IT suite on the computer making business cards, and then leaving school at 14, 15, going knocking doors, asking people, could I go and cut their lawns or trim their hedges? But I was so cheeky, I would use their machines and use their electric and still charge them for the privilege. I was always had this spark of being in business, but those young days of a child just wanting to make money, wanting to make a business and go knocking doors. And then that led one thing into another. How I started mowing lawns and cutting hedges. And then people were phoning me, asking me, would I do other things? Did I do other services? And the answer was always yes. And I think that's a key sometimes in business. The answer is always yes. And I took on when I priced a job. I mean, I wasn't even driving. I was a 14, 15-year-old boy having to get my dad to drive me around to go and price up jobs, because one man, I'm based in the UK, in Cardiff, South Wales, and one man asked us if we'd go and price up to do a wall around his garden because we did garden services. This business card I created in the IT suite in school said garden services. So the man phoned and we went and priced up doing a wall. I mean, at 14, 15, I was not qualified or capable of doing such a thing. And I look back now and think, oh my goodness. So no, I didn't build the man's wall.
Wow. Wow. That sounds like an adventure, hey? Oh, man. That's really quite an experience to learn from. As I say,
Absolutely.
you've been in business for quite some time, Karl, and Is there any moment in that journey that you had a very defining challenge? And I just want to ask during that time, if you could share what it was, how did your faith play a role in overcoming that challenge?
Absolutely. And I think in business, sometimes we can have this business mentality, faith mentality, business and work, and then faith and church. But actually, it's one. We are who we are. And yes, absolutely. I've been through challenges, I've been through success. But yeah, absolutely. It's sometimes difficulties bring you through it. But one thing I've learned is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all our hearts and lean not on our own understanding, but all our ways acknowledge him and he'll direct our path. So even in business, we need to trust in the Lord. And we know it says that, but do we actually do it? For far too long, I trusted in myself. Even in business, even as a believer, I would go to the office and go to work and trust in my ability. So we had a real estate business managing landlords' properties. And I'd go into the office in the morning and rely on my understanding. I thank God that I'm successful in business, but I would rely on my understanding to generate new business. Go on the phone in the morning, phoning people, trying to drum up and generate business. But how faith is played out in that is it says to trust in the Lord with all our heart and lean not on our own understanding. Instead of leaning on my understanding, several times, and I still do it today, I've stopped and I've gone, God, will you help me? Will you do me a favor? Will you be graceful to me? Grace is his unmerited favor. Will you do me a favor and just make the phone ring? And I don't know about your prayer life. And for me, I talk to God like I'm talking to you. And I said, God, would you make the phone ring or an email to come in and just bring me business? Rather than me trusting in me and trying to generate, I involve him now in all areas of my business, from business generation right the way through to, Lord, help me with how to help this client. We're a business consultancy, so we advise business owners how to be successful in business, just like we were. But even in that, spending time with them and in one-to-ones when I'm coaching and mentoring people, and it does say, doesn't it, if we ask him for wisdom, he'll give it. He's a good God, and he'll give us what we ask.
While you're sharing that story of like going to the office, making a phone call, it's like a very mundane routine. Like,
Yes.
and it seems normal I mean, a lot of our listeners who have businesses go into the office and do the exact same thing.
Nothing wrong with that.
But when did you figure out that that strategy was just trusting yourself? Like, when did that shift happen?
I think the shift or the change in mentality, and that's where it comes down to, a mentality shift. I think that's as I've developed my relationship with him and spending time with him. So rather than trying to separate and keep business and work and then coming to church and faith, so it's all one. And having a mentality change of actually, he wants me to prosper. He's given me the ability to gain wealth. He's given me the ability to do business. But to trust him, that sort of shift came when I thought, actually, I can't do this myself. I'm struggling, and ask him. And it's taking him at his word. If he says he's going to do something, he'll do it. He's not a God that would lie. Therefore, if he said he's going to do it, he'll do it. So by faith, simply trust in him that he'll do what he says he will.
That's amazing. Hey, a masterpiece maker. So you heard that from Karl himself. What you just said is very liberating. That allows us to have a permission to sort of like really change that mindset and really involve God. I love what you said earlier, that you just talk to God how you talk to normal people.
Yes.
I think that's something that I'm sure people don't get, and that they're even allowed to do that. But
Sure.
I think what you just said, it's just so liberating. What I love about that as well, you really took us to that journey, that it's really in the process of knowing God that you also was able to gradually shift your relationship and how you run your business.
Absolutely. And I mean, even in maintaining that, but call it a religious act or a religious activity, for want of a better word, I just have two alarms. And at 11 o'clock, it just goes bing. And it just reminds me in the busyness of the day, just to stop, just to take a moment and remember him. And at 3 o'clock, same again. You might say, well, I'm going to be with clients. I'm going to be busy. Last Wednesday, I was sat with a client face to face. Bing, my 3 o'clock alarm went off and I was with them.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have to roll out a mat and lay it on the floor or go in the corner to go and pray. I'm sat with them and they're none of the wiser that I'm talking to Jesus. And I'm just quietly talking to him, saying, thank you, Lord, for this opportunity. And thank you. And
Wow.
just taking a moment through the day, because we can get busy and life does get busy, certainly in business. And one thing I found helpful is if I don't have a daily meeting with God, I can so easily go off track. So it's important for me to set time aside because he's fully part of my business. In fact, he's the boss of my business. He's the CEO of my business. I work for him. He's just entrusted me to manage it. So on that basis, I'm grateful.
Wow, that is so cool. I love it. That's the power of being intentional in checking in with the CEO of the company, right?
Absolutely. I mean, if you were employed, and for some people listening, they may be employed in a job, others might be in business. But if you're employed and you struggled or needed help with something, you go to your employer, you go to your line manager, you go to your boss and say, can you help me in this area? So when we're self employed and it's just us in the business, if you're a solopreneur or you are managing people, and sometimes why don't we go to God and ask him for help?
That's so true. Thank you for that insightful and profound tip, Carl. Introducing Masterpiece Kingdom Brand's free brand assessment guide, Future Proof Your Brand. In just 10 minutes, complete a quick and insightful assessment with 35 key questions designed to help you take an honest look at your brand and gauge its future resilience and adaptability. Discover valuable insights in 5 essential areas: brand digitalization, brand online presence, brand resilience, customer experience, and brand culture. Once you finish the assessment, we'll send you a report detailing your score so you can identify where your brand can truly grow. The best part is, this assessment is completely free. Don't fear the future. Take the step to transform your insights into action. Take our free Future Proof Your Brand assessment guide and join other kingdom-minded leaders who are already using it to elevate their brands. Visit masterpiecebrands.com/course/futureproof and start future-proofing your brand today. Let me go back to one of our first points that I asked when we opened the show, because a lot of our listeners have this, and you being really exposed to so many different kinds of businesses, I know you had multiple ideas in your head.
Absolutely.
And many entrepreneurs struggle with knowing when to pursue an idea and turn it into a business. From your experience in starting and scaling multiple ventures, how do you discern when is the right time to launch a new business?
Great question. I was employed at the time with a letting agency company in the city, which is great because that's where I learned the industry. In fact, I was paid as an employee and paid for the privilege of learning everything I needed to learn before I went and done it myself. So don't undervalue the fact that if you are employed, learning the skills you're learning for when you do it yourself. But yeah, early days before I started, I remember some time before saying to my wife that I really wanted to. And we were talking, and what was my motive? Why did I want to? And it wasn't the right time then. But then it's taking the or seizing the opportunity. So I suppose carpe diem, seizing the day, seizing the opportunity. And for me, on another business, you mentioned earlier hot tubs, hot tub hire. Well, that was something that I didn't plan to start. I didn't intend to start. I saw an opportunity and I did it. And how that came about was I had my letting agency and I'd started it. My wife wanted to hire me a hot tub for my birthday. And we contacted a hot tub hire company and they were full. You couldn't hire one. So contacted another one. They were full. Couldn't hire one on the dates we wanted. Went to another. Guess what? They were full. So I saw an opportunity and I took it. I thought, if they're full, then there's opportunity for me. So I bought one. I went, Norbert, to a retail store and bought it. I didn't even go to a wholesaler. And I bought this hot tub off the shelf, and guess what? I double booked. So I had to go and buy another one.
Really? You just turned it into a business
And
immediately.
so I bought one, started renting them out, put it on Facebook, on my pages, and started getting bookings, and then had flyers made and started telling people. Marketing, as you well know, is about shouting to the outside world about what you do, telling people about what you do. I was telling people, and we getting bookings. I didn't just have one or two, but three. And my children's birthday parties, we had hot tubs all over the garden because they were just there because we bought them and rented them and bought them and rented them. And that was not necessarily something I planned to do, but I saw an opportunity and did it. So for some listeners, they may be thinking, I'm good at this and I want to do this. Go and do it. If you think you can, you probably can. But if you think you can't, you most definitely won't. So I'd encourage you, go and do what you think you can do.
Okay, you saw an opportunity and then you just did it.
Yes.
That's basically it, right?
Well, I was the same with my security company. You mentioned during COVID, we had the letting agency and everything was shut. So all the commercial premises, all the offices, they were all closed. No one went to the office or went to work. And commercial properties, pubs and restaurants and offices were getting broken into. So I thought, well, with these ones that are getting broken into, I'll outsource the job for the properties we manage to a security company and get them to take care of the security. I thought, why am I paying someone else to go and take care of these empty, vacant properties? I saw an opportunity and I decided to do it ourselves. So I opened the security company, Everything Security, to supply man guards and mobile patrols. And then that grew. We started doing events, agricultural, and supplying man guard into various locations, all out of seeing an opportunity and making it happen.
Wow. That's very inspiring to see. I'm sure our masterpiece makers listening now are already running wild in their imagination with that stories that you shared. But because we have Karl here, I just want to also ask him, like, what do you think, Karl, is also one mistake that entrepreneurs make when they try to scale or grow too quickly? Because there is the temptation when you feel like, yeah, you've seen the opportunity and you went into it. What is the mistake that you've experienced when you try to really push it so fast?
Absolutely. And I suppose it's capacity. So personal capacity. So when knowing what to pick up and what to put down. And life has not always been easy. I'm not painting this wonderful picture today that start a business and everything's going to be great. It is difficult sometimes. In fact, it's hard sometimes. It's not always easy. I've been through my own challenges and difficulties. I had a health scare, as you know, Norbert, and it wasn't a health scare, it was a full-blown health attack. I had a stroke 18 months ago, and I lost the left side of the use of my body. But as you can see today, I'm fine and well. And you're looking at a trophy of God's grace. Nothing more and nothing less. And I'm grateful for where I am. But business sometimes is difficult and sometimes is hard. But always start small. I was with you in Albania, and that's where we first met. And when I was in Albania, I was talking to a young man about him wanting to go into business. And he wanted to start a coffee business. And he said, I really want a chain of coffee shops. And I said to him, that's great. It really is entrepreneurial. Great. I really want to champion him on. But what are you doing today? So what are you doing now? Because if you're sat in your bedroom doing nothing, guess what's going to happen? Nothing. So starting small and growing and starting with what you have. So if you are into animals and dog walking, then go and walk dogs and then scale it and grow it. You said about the thing that could trip people up or the difficulty.
Yeah.
For me, it's about capacity. What can you take on? So, for example, everything lettings, my lettings business, it grew and we started it from nothing. We turned it into a £1.5 million turnover business in 5 years, and then we sold it 2 years ago. But when I started it, when it was small, I then saw the opportunity for the hot tub hire and started that. Well, whatever you focus on is where you're going to give your attention. Whatever you look at and you're giving your attention to is where your efforts and energy are going to go. So all my efforts and energy were here on hot tubs because I was making good money. We were out delivering hot tubs, making money. Where lettings, I wasn't giving it attention. And where it initially started to grow, when I took my eye off it, it started to plateau and even dip. So I realized I wanted to grow the lettings business. That was my main priority, and to grow that. So whatever you give attention to is where you're going to focus and grow. In the end, I was so busy doing the hot tubs, it took my attention and focus away from lettings. So it's okay sometimes to revisit and park or sell or do. And if there is numerous businesses and you've got capacity to spin many plates, then do it. I love what I do. I love encouraging entrepreneurs.
Capacity, that's something that is a real struggle for a lot of entrepreneurs because we tend to really see the opportunities that maybe normal people don't see.
We could stay on that all day. One little tip I would say as a giveaway is actually, if you are struggling with capacity, outsource what you're not good at and do what you're good at. I love speaking and being with people. I love teaching people on how to be successful in business. Therefore, stay in my lane. Marketing, finance, accounts, that's not what I'm good at. So I outsource my accounts to an accountant. If it's admin you're not good at, outsource it to a VA, like a virtual assistant to go and do those things. So do what you're good at, outsource what you're not good at.
Yes, that's so good. That is so true. Now, Karl, I think the special ingredient of your business is that you're really a faithful person. And many Christian entrepreneurs want to grow successful businesses similar to yours. And I'm sure a lot of them are also worried about how to stay true with their values because it's out there in the real world, it's hard.
Absolutely.
How do you balance the ambition to succeed, hitting sales targets and expanding the company with spiritual integrity and being honest and treating people well? And what is it like in your experience and how do you align both?
I think the question you've asked answers itself. And I could say nothing more than just reiterate the question. And it is about integrity, spiritual integrity, just being integrous, because in business, you will have opportunity to do things wrong. In fact, we know the devil will want to take us off course, and we will get presented with opportunities to do things incorrect, to do things morally wrong, to take our eyes off what we know is right, even when it comes to finances. As you grow, and I pray for you as listeners that actually you grow and you financially prosper and you do well. But even in finance, sometimes we can get puffed up and prideful and think, I've made it. I've got a nice car, the nice house, I've got the money in the bank, and all of these sort of things. And a little bit like, oh, look at me, I've made it. Well, we need to always remember where we came from. Actually, when we had nothing and started with nothing, not forgetting from where we come from, but more than that, not forgetting him, not forgetting who gave it to us. And it's so easy, as I said earlier, to not spend time with him as we're busy first thing in the morning. Here's a challenge. What's the first thing we do in the morning when we wake up? Our mobile phone's on the bedside cabinet next to us. Is it to pick it up and quickly check the emails? Is it to check the bank balance? And I've got into the habit of that, being completely vulnerable and transparent. I open my app and check my banking before I've even prayed, just to make sure that people had paid their invoices that should have. Is that the right way around? Absolutely not. Our priority should always be him, and giving him the time that he deserves and needs.
Wow, that's so good. Well, I think you already mentioned one thing in that answer. And as we just wrap up our conversation, we started to ask a question, when is the right time to really start a business? And Karl, just to tie this all together, for someone who's listening to us right now and who's at the verge of thinking about like, okay, I think I'm going to start this business. I think I'm going to pursue this God vision in my life. And I really don't know where to start. What would be your practical tip?
Absolutely. When you said, when is the right time? Now. now is the right time. And if not now, then when? If not you, then who? So really, why not? If you don't do it, someone else will. I would encourage you, go and do it. And if you need help, advice, or support, reach out. And I'm more than happy to help in any way that I can. You can reach me at Karl at ignitebc.co.uk or visit our website, ignitebc.co.uk. And I'll help you in any way I can. I'm passionate about seeing entrepreneurs successful.
Thank you so much, Karl. Masterpiece Makers, it's such an honor and a privilege. And I tell you, go to Karl's website. We're going to put it on our show notes. And if you are in that season of your life where you need help to grow and even just guidance on what to do next, Karl is really able to help you. Karl, thank you so much.
But it's great to be with you.
And Masterpiece Makers, we pray blessings over your business idea. Thank you so much for joining us in this episode, and we will see you in the next